Don't use GPT, use Claude. We've been testing it for like just about a week now, and we're amazed with the kind of responses it's coming up with.
Like the things that I could do 2 years ago is like nothing compared to today with AI.
What are some of the things that you're excited about trying to improve your cold outreach process?
I think using AIs to.
What are some of the mistakes you made when you first started doing cold outreach?
I think the biggest one was that I tried to.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to SalesRobot Customer of the Week, a new show where we interview the best SalesRobot customers and go deep into their tactics around targeting, messaging, and personalization so that you can take away something and implement in your cold outreach starting tomorrow. Today on the show, we have Reynir from POY. Welcome to the show, Reynir.
Thank you for having me, Sarav.
Awesome. So let's get right into it. What does your business do and how do you make money?
So I run a performance marketing agency where we primarily do paid ads, but we also consult on content and strategy and branding, amongst other things. And occasionally we also set up cold outbound campaigns for our clients as well.
Awesome. Awesome. So I won't bury the lead. You're here obviously because one of your campaigns performed really well. Do you remember what that campaign was, or I can just show my screen and take you through the campaign as well?
Yeah, sure. I think it was a smart grid campaign in
It
UAE,
was
if
a
I
smart
remember
grid
correctly.
one for UAE.
Yeah, cool. Let's do it.
So what was the campaign about? Do you remember? And then I'll show the campaign as well.
I don't actually remember what it was regarding. I think it was a client acquisition system. We wanted to run some ads for them and also some cold outbound, I think. But it's like a year ago, right? Or maybe even
Yeah,
two.
it's about a year ago. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll share my screen and you can then see what this whole thing was about. Awesome. So this is the campaign. It's run to about 280 people, right? Out of which 99 accepted, which is a 37% acceptance rate, pretty high, and then roughly a 45% response rate. Do you remember who you were running this to? Like, who was the target audience for this?
I think it was business development managers and also CMOs, if I remember correctly. Does it say that?
Okay, let's see. Let's see if you're right. So I'm opening up the actual search URL. So we can see that you've searched for smart grid, you've searched for UAE, and the keywords are CEO. So I
Okay.
think you're looking at different. So the title is CEO. So do you remember what this was about then?
Yeah, it was about a client acquisition system as far as I remember. But I think it also
Okay.
targeted some people that weren't CEOs. I remember I booked a meeting with this campaign with a guy that was a business development manager from Siemens. But
Got it.
maybe it's another campaign. I don't really remember.
No, I think why that may have happened is because you've done the targeting like this, like you have smart and grid, and there's a space in between. So what LinkedIn looks for is like smart or grid anywhere in the profile. If the title is CEO, so even if they were a CEO in the past, it will show up. That's why you'll see a lot of like people who are general partners or COO also coming up. So
Okay.
the way you filter on SalesNav on LinkedIn, it's very open.
Okay, cool. I guess that's probably
Awesome.
what happened.
Yeah. So let's get into the messaging strategy. Do you have framework when you start writing messaging, or how do you approach messaging?
Yeah, like for the first year or two, I think I tested a bunch of stuff and I kind of found my tone of voice, I guess you could say. So I don't really have like a split testing framework. I just try a bunch of stuff. And with LinkedIn, for me, the whole goal of LinkedIn is to build my personal brand. So it's not necessarily about booking a meeting on the first connection point. It's more about like having them in my network. And then once I start posting, they kind of see me multiple times. I get these multiple touch points. And then like further down the line, I play the long game with booking them on calls. So it's not really a salesy campaign in that sense. But yeah, I think it was really like a friendly approach I took on this with this campaign at least.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. You're looking at more of a networky message where you're just telling them about your goals, right? You're trying to get smarter into the UAE, would love to connect. I think it works because UAE is in general a region that has a lot of growth, right? Like a lot of different types of people coming in there, having different businesses. So I think that's one of the reasons this works.
Exactly. And they're also like, I think it fits the culture. Like they're very friendly. When I text them, it's almost like everybody from that area, they respond in a very polite manner. And it's always like, it's a very welcoming attitude they have when I text them on LinkedIn.
Absolutely. And that's one of the reasons why you have such a high response rate. But let's get into the second message. So you're saying something like, wanted to reach out as we're tailoring our appointment generation systems for smart grid companies in the UAE. Mind if I ask a few questions? So, does the CTA work for you? How do you think through CTAs?
Oh yeah, I never really ask any questions. I just get them on a call and say it's like an interview, and then I really kind of take it from there. Like if they ask me to send over some questions, I just ask if I can give them a call instead, and then from the call I'll try and book them on an online meeting instead. So yeah, that's basically the thought behind it.
Now, that's pretty smart because you framed it almost like a research slash an interview and not as a sales call. So I think that's really smart.
I also think it's like the native approach to LinkedIn. Like if you send them an email, they kind of know what it's about. You want to sell them something, but when it's LinkedIn, like it's a lot of it's about networking and also like learning from each other. So I tried to implement that when I reached out to them. And also because like, the higher the response rate gets, the easier it is to book meetings. So, and the more messages you send back and forth, the easier it is for them. And the lower the barrier gets to get on a call.
Yeah, exactly. I think if you've talked to them at least, 4 or 5 times back and forth messaging, then it's very likely that they will actually say yes if you ask them for a 10-minute call.
Exactly.
Awesome. So you send this 5 days later. Talk me through this one.
Yeah. So again, with like this very polite way of addressing each other in the UAE, I kind of wanted to address that a bit. So I didn't want to seem like an invasive person or someone who's like super salesy. But also again, like the mindset in the UAE is that they want to build big things and like they're growing very, very quickly and like a lot of stuff in the UAE is happening. And they know there's a lot of entrepreneurs that are trying to get into the UAE and Dubai. So I kind of want to talk into that by saying that like this is kind of the mindset for everyone. You have to be kind of persistent and want to keep going at it. So I wanted to use that as like an excuse to be a little bit quicker on the trigger with texting them. I think when was this sent? Is it 5 days later again? Or is it
5 days later? Yeah.
Okay.
5.
Yeah. So like it's not that quick, but if you get a lot of messages on LinkedIn, it's pretty annoying. But so that's kind of the thought behind it. And then again, like instead of going into sending a whole interview over to them or like bombarding them with like 10 questions, like really just lowering the barrier for getting them on a call. And I also know that like the culture in the UAE is like really minded around WhatsApp and calling each other. So I wanted to use that to my advantage.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Do you remember any results other than that business development person from Siemens?
Not really. No, this is such a long time ago. And I've kind of transitioned from LinkedIn into more emails because it's easier to scale.
Right.
Like LinkedIn has gone from an appointment setting vehicle for me to be more of a brand building vehicle.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. And it makes sense because we also look at it pretty much the same way. But I can see some of the replies here, like very positive. This person is, let's connect next week and discuss. Some people are not sure. And then there's like, what are you looking for? Can you elaborate? So there's a lot of people who are just trying to help, right? And just trying to have a conversation with you. So that obviously works.
Yeah. And I don't remember if a SalesRobot shows like the replies that I sent them, but like a lot of these guys, I think I remember I end up giving them a call or getting them on a call. But it's not usually through LinkedIn. It's like I get their WhatsApp number, I give them a call, and then we end up on a Google Meet.
Yeah, I can see. Like, for example, this guy, let's have an intro discussion. And then this person says that next week, this is and Eaton is a massive company, right? I know Eaton is a massive company in the smart grid space. So you're getting meetings with like, billion-dollar companies with this tactic.
Yeah, it's like a sure way to get in touch with the right people. It's also easier to kind of get in touch with high-profile people on LinkedIn than it is with email. So I kind of save my 20 daily connections requests for these types of people. Like I don't mind spamming gatekeepers on emails because I can just buy more domains and buy more inboxes. But with LinkedIn, I kind of have to be strategic about which order I reach out to people on.
No, absolutely. It makes a ton of sense. So LinkedIn is definitely for that. It's limited bullets, right? You can only shoot like 20 bullets. So You
Yeah,
gotta, shoot the highest value targets.
exactly.
So awesome. So that's how LinkedIn should be looked at. Perfect. So that brings me to my next question. What are some of the mistakes you made when you first started doing cold outreach?
I think the biggest one was that I tried to show them every aspect of what the conversation is going to look like and then also over explain myself. Like I sent these huge paragraphs and long emails and followed up like a bunch of times. And really like I just learned that if you just keep it like really short and really like informal, it's way easier to get them on a call. And it's also because it seems less like robot like in a sense.
Perfect. With that, we go into the final question. What are some of the things that you're excited about trying to improve your cold outreach process?
I think using AIs to reply to the leads because it's a headache to manually reply, and the AIs right now are pretty bad at it. It's like always
Yeah.
some like they go from the I teach them the tone of voice. It has to be informal, and then it goes super formal and like almost as a chat robot, support thing, and that's so shit.
Yeah.
And I guess the other thing is scaling my cold outbound with lead magnets, trying out different
Wow.
types of lead magnets, seeing how that works because it's like the email game is really moving quickly. And like when people try one thing and it goes viral, like you see the next week, I get
Yeah.
these in my
Doesn't work.
spam. I think my spam inbox gets like 50 messages a day from people saying the same thing. Like last year, it
Yeah.
was quick question, Rainier. Like today, I think it's like a forward thing or like some type of thing. If I could help you get 10 more clients, would you be interested in that? And I get that like everywhere. Yeah, yeah, every day, many times a day.
Definitely. About the AI to manage the replies, we actually figured out a very good way to do this. So what we do is we actually write a very detailed SOP, just like we give to a VA, and then we put that in the prompt, like a very detailed SOP for different kinds of response scenarios, for different kinds of, like examples, Q&As. So our prompt is like 2000 words, right? And it has every different scenario, different FAQs, different informations, and it's crazy good. And the other thing is like, don't use GPT, use Claude. Claude has worked, like it's way more intelligent for these kinds of response handling. It's cool. It's got a bit of personality. Not all AIs are the same, right? So Claude, I think, is still at that stage where it can just play it cool, right, and doesn't overwhelm, just like you do with your messaging,
Yeah,
giving
yeah,
this messaging in smart grids. So we've been testing it for like just about a week now, right? Like we recently built it, and we're amazed with the kind of responses that's coming up with. It's not pushy, not salesy, just like playing it cool and keeping it short and informal. So yeah, I mean, it's moving quickly, this whole space.
for sure. Like the things that I could do 2 years ago is like nothing compared to today with AI. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Awesome, Rainier. So thank you so much for making the time. I really enjoyed our conversation. For those people who want to find you online, where can they find you?
On LinkedIn primarily, and then I want to move into YouTube as well. So I'm looking to build a personal brand on there as well. But like primarily, if you want to do business, it's gonna be on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Thank you again so much for making the time, and we wish you all the best.
This is all mine, Sarav.